Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. In today's video we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be taking a look back at the very first Booktube video that I ever filmed, reacting to it, and then recreating it. This is something that I saw Kayla from Books and Lala do a while back, and I thought it would be fun to try as well, especially since I've now been on Booktube for close to 4 years. My first book-related video was put up in June of 2017, so we're going to take a look back together. I know it's going to be bad because I did not really know what I was doing. I'm sure the camera quality is not going to be great. It's fine. Let's do it. All right, so I've sorted my videos by date, and these are my oldest videos. So actually my first couple that I did were more mommy and beauty related content. So we're gonna look at the first book video that I did. Also, I did not know how to make thumbnails for the first few really very well. So almost 4 years ago, this one was published June 20th, from what I saw, of 2017, and it's looking at exciting sequels and book recommendations. Here we go.
Hey book nerds, welcome back to my channel. This little guy decided he wanted to hang out with Mama today.
Oh my gosh, he's so tiny! I forgot. Oh, Josiah. Okay, so he's now like 4.5 years old. I told you I started my YouTube channel when my youngest was an infant, and oh, he's so little. I'm like the baby wearing. But I'm looking very put together considering the fact that I have a toddler and an infant. So this is probably honestly what I needed for my mental health at the time. Okay, let's keep watching.
He's going to be doing this book video with me. If you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today I wanted to talk to you about some of the upcoming books that I'm most excited about.
Okay, note that I am not looking in the lens. I'm clearly looking at the screen, the viewfinder. Like, I keep looking at myself because back then I had a really old flip thing. You know what, the video quality is not as bad as I thought it would be. It's not amazing, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's hot. I have the air conditioning running in the background, so you can hear that going. This is so interesting. And I noticed my little background that I set up with like some books and flowers to try to make it look nice before I had my whole filming set up in here. Okay.
And some of these are coming out this year. Some of them aren't coming out till next year, but one of them I even have an arc for, which I'm super excited about.
Like, I can tell I felt so awkward, but I was trying really hard.
Let's get started. Today we're going to talk about my 4 top sequels or next in series books that I am really excited about and want to share with you guys.
Trying to keep the baby calm.
So the first one I want to share with you is the sequel to this book. This is called Shadow Shaper by Daniel Jose Older.
Great book.
Really awesome. This is the one that I have an arc for. Thank you, BookCon. Shadow House Fall. So I'm really excited to get to read.
Also, really, really good book. And I think maybe the first standalone book review I ever did was for that sequel, which I loved. Really great YA series.
The first book, Shadow Shaper, follows this character, Sierra Santiago, who is a young teenage woman of color who lives in Brooklyn. It's a super fun urban fantasy.
I don't miss those days.
So I'm back. Little one decided to fall asleep, so just me this time. So I was talking about this awesome book, Shadow Shaper by Daniel Jose.
Yeah, still not looking in the lens, still looking at myself in the screen. It's great. Yeah, like, that's the thing. Trying to do stuff with an infant is so much more work because he decides he's hungry. I'm like, oh, thank God, you fell asleep. Now maybe I can actually film something.
Jose Older. Seriously, guys, pick it up, check it out. I'm loving the fact that we're starting to get more diversity in YA lit, which is something we haven't seen before. And the book...
Look, you saw it. My very first BookTube video. Like, little did I know this was going to be such a big thing. Diversity in the books that we're reading. Hey,
Is just
I love
a
it.
great, fun urban fantasy. And
It is.
the thing
It's a
I
great
love about it is
series.
you've got these characters who are primarily people of color living in Brooklyn who talk the way that you would think that they would probably be talking. And I've been to a panel before with the author of this book, and the thing that he said, which I think is so true, is there's a lot of kids who growing up like him who read these books and said, okay, where are the people who look like me, who sound like me, where are the characters I can relate to? And
Daniel Jose Older is great.
So serious props to some of these publishers like Penguin Teen for publishing Shadow Shaper.
Like, note that I put correction. It's not Penguin Teen. It's Scholastic. It's published by Scholastic, which I noted down below. But I was so new to this too. I didn't know anything about any of the imprints at this point. I'd just gone to my first book con and was getting into this. Yeah, this has always been something I've been passionate about, I think, for a long time. So it's just interesting to me to see that the very first book video I made on my channel was focusing on such similar things to what I talk about now. It's just, it's interesting.
And other more diverse books start to include more diverse characters. It's such an important thing. So the next book I want to talk about is Carve the Mark. This is a new series by Veronica Roth. I loved this first book. I liked the Divergent series, but Carve the Mark is awesome. It's this hybrid sci-fi fantasy, kind of a fantasy in space sort of story. Really rich world building, great characters, and I'm really looking.
Okay, so it's interesting because I didn't know when I made this video that Carve the Mark had been so controversial. Francina Simone had a great video talking about this, and I still really love the first book. I will say I did read the sequel, and it was very disappointing. I didn't like the sequel very much, but the first book I really liked. I thought the world was super interesting. I thought it was doing a lot of cool things, and I think part of why it holds such a special place for me is going to the book signing for that book was my first outing without kids after having my second child, and it was just something I really, really needed at the time. So yeah, it's interesting. The sequel did not hold up so well though.
Looking forward to the sequel, which unfortunately I think is not coming out till next year or late this year, but it's going to be a while. It was actually pretty cool. I got to go to the book launch event for this book, which was really cool because I got to briefly meet Veronica Roth, hear her talk about the book, and of course get it signed and personalized, which was super exciting. I highly recommend checking out this book if you haven't yet. The sequel I'm really looking forward to. The next book I want to talk about is actually a debut novel.
Okay.
It's called The Thousandth Floor by Catherine McGee.
This was fun. I liked this.
And the sequel is coming out, I think, the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken. This book is really great, really awesome for a debut novel and creative.
Okay, so I have to say, considering the fact that this is the first book video I ever made, this isn't bad. I was expecting it to be much more cringy than it actually is. I guess I'm not giving myself enough credit for the fact that I had done some other kinds of videos for work-related purposes previously, so it's I'm clearly not as comfortable as I am now, but it's not terrible. The Thousandth Floor, I remember really enjoying that first book. The sequel was good. I didn't like it as much as the first book, but it was fairly good.
Set in a futuristic New York, deals with climate issues, with race and class issues, with drug addiction, with depression, and trying to fit in.
The first book was doing a lot more.
Really great, engaging story that pulls you in and doesn't let you go until you reach the end, and then you're like, no, I want to read the sequel. When is it coming out? So thankfully, the sequel is coming out in a few months, but if you haven't checked it out, check out The Thousandth Floor by Catherine McGee.
It's funny for how excited I was about it. It took me so long to actually read the sequel. I finally did, and it was good, but it took me a really long time to get to it. But yeah, I do think that the first book had a lot more interesting thematic content than the second book did.
Really great book.
It's so funny.
Okay, the final book I want to talk about is actually going to be the fourth book in a series, I guess the beginning of a new trilogy in this world, which I'm excited about. I loved the original trilogy and thought that was it, but this is the School for Good and Evil series, and this is by Soman Chainani. And again, this was cool. I got to meet him at BookCon, and get this one signed, which
cool.
was awesome. He was just so sweet and super cute and just a really nice guy. Again, these books are fantastic. They're such a great story. They deal with a lot of important issues in a way that I think is accessible to younger readers. The first trilogy is marketed to the 8 to 12 range, but I think anybody could probably enjoy them. And it's
Yeah, so I do still have a lot of love for that first trilogy. I think they're fantastic, really smart middle grade books. And I have read the entire second trilogy. I liked the first two books pretty well, but I really didn't like the final book, which was so disappointing. That was definitely one of my disappointments. Did I read that this year? I think I actually read it early in 2021, the third book in the second trilogy. It is interesting, though, that is something I really did keep up with, because when I filmed this video, none of those books were out yet, and I was just really excited to get more in that world. But yeah, I do think they're a great series, and Soman Chainani seems lovely.
the kind of thing that I'll probably want to read with my kids when they get to be a little bit older.
Yeah.
But the new trilogy, book 4 is
not the new trilogy though.
September. I actually have this awesome little sneak peek. It's going to be called The School for Good and Evil Quest.
Oh, it's so cute. Like the days that I was really excited about the little sneak peek samplers. Like now now I basically don't read them. I just wait to like either get the arc or wait till they come out. But I was so excited going to BookCon the first time. I'm like, I'm so sweet and innocent and new to the world. It's great. I love it.
For Glory on sale September 19th.
Oh, and I got it signed. That was also exciting.
I really enjoyed the sneak peek. So thank you to HarperCollins for that. It sounds like a really fun story. Again, they're growing up a little bit in this, the main characters. So this one is probably
my makeup looks pretty good.
A teen, young adult
At least
audience.
my eye makeup.
It seems like it's going to be dealing with some really great issues to talk about, like communication in relationships and finding your purpose and your identity. So much I know.
It is driving me wild, though, that I never look in the lens. The entire time I am looking at myself in the viewfinder, like not once do I look in the lens. It's so annoying. It's fine. Okay.
He just does such a great job of building this really rich, beautiful world and these engaging characters, and then using them to tackle some really big issues in a fun way. So if you haven't checked out these books, highly recommend. Go read The School for Good and Evil, the first trilogy, then pick up book 4 on September 19th. All right, so that's it for me today, you guys. These are some of the books that I'm really loving, really looking forward to the sequel or the next book in the series. In the comments down below, tell me what are some books that you're really looking forward to. Do you have any recommendations?
I've watched YouTube. I know how to do this.
Are there any books you would like to see me review or talk about in another video? And don't forget, if you like this video, to like, subscribe, click on that notification bell so that you know when I've got new videos releasing. Thanks for watching, and to all you moms out there, try to get some sleep.
Oh, that's cute. Okay. All you moms out there, try to get some sleep. That's cute. Yeah, that seemed appropriate, especially when I had a newborn and I was really, like, needing that rest. Oh, it's so funny to watch this back. It's not as bad as I thought it might have been. I think I did a reasonably good job. That clearly, as I was saying, there were like things that I would change, but yeah, this was fun. Hopefully this has been interesting for you guys to watch it back and see what I was like 4 years ago when I first started making book content. And so for the recreation part, we're just going to talk about 4 sequels that I am excited for now. First up, one that I am hoping to read in the next couple of months is Flamefall by Rosaria Munda. This is the sequel to Fireborn, which I had read for a reading vlog recently, and I really, really loved it. I think the political piece of this is so fascinating. It's a YA fantasy series with dragons, which is really cool. But what I think is particularly awesome about this is the political elements of it are inspired by Plato's Republic and something else, like another Greek work, which I, as the, the nerd in me that studied politics in school is really into that. So I'm very excited to see what happens in Flamefall, especially because we got a big cliffhanger ending at the end of Fireborn. This came out this year and was sent to me from Penguin Teen. So yeah, hoping to read this one pretty soon. I'm actually on the wait list at my library for the audiobook as a way to like nudge me to read it. And I don't think I have that much longer to wait. So once that comes through, I'll be reading that. That's a sequel I'm excited for. One that I just got in the mail unexpectedly that I think will be fun is Illusionary by Zoraida Cordova. This is the sequel to Incendiary. It is one of her YA fantasy series. I generally just enjoy Zoraida Cordova's writing, even though I don't think I've given any of her books 5 stars. None of them are like favorites, but her work is just really, really consistent. I've given almost all the books I've read from her at least 4 stars, I think. And yeah, I just find her work really enjoyable, really consistent in terms of quality. And I'm gonna have to like remind myself what exactly happened at the end of the first book in this series, because I feel like there was a cliffhanger, but it's been a while since I've read it now. But this came in the mail, so I do want to read the sequel. Then a sequel I'm really excited about that's coming out in August is Devil in the Device by Laura Beth Johnson. This is the sequel to Goddess in the Machine, which was one of my favorite books of 2020. I kind of hate the covers. I feel like the covers are really awful, and YA never knows how to do good sci-fi covers or market YA sci-fi very effectively. But I thought the first book in this was amazing. It was such a good debut. It was super twisty YA sci-fi book that had a huge twist ending, and I cannot wait to see how the story finishes up in the second book in the duology. So I don't love the covers, love the content, really excited to pick up this sequel. And are we just gonna go with all YA? Yeah, I guess in the original video I had 3 YA titles and 1 middle grade title. So let me think, like, is there a middle grade title that I'm excited about? I don't read as much middle grade fiction. Okay, let me look. I'm gonna go to Goodreads and see, because I feel like if we're really recreating this, we should do it that way. We'll do like 3 YA titles and a middle grade if I can find one that's like a sequel I'm looking forward to. Oh, okay. Here we go. I have one for you. Although I actually need to catch up and read book 2 in the series, but there is a sequel to Catherine Arden's Small Spaces series coming out in August. This one is Dark Waters. It's book 3. This is her middle grade horror series. It's like super spooky. I read the first book, loved it. I've been meaning to continue on. And what I think is really interesting is it's going to be 4 books when it's finished, and each book is a different season. So book 1 is fall, book 2 I think is winter, and then book 3 should be spring, I'm guessing. I do know that they're all supposed to be seasons. Let me see. Yeah, so I think that's right. So book 1, Small Spaces, was an autumn read. It was like set in fall and I loved it. Book 2, Dead Voices, is set in winter. I haven't read it yet, but I do want to. And then book 3, Dark Waters, I think is set in spring. And then eventually we'll get a book 4, which is gonna be summer. Yeah, I need to make this a priority. I probably should just go ahead and purchase book 2 so I get it on my TBR and try to get to it, because I don't think it's even very long and I would probably really enjoy it. So there you have it. Those are 4 sequels that I am currently excited about. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this. What did you think of my original video, and how was it seeing me react to it? I thought this was an interesting project because I haven't gone back and looked at those early videos in a long time. And yeah, they weren't terrible. It could have been a lot worse. I guess this is basically how I feel about it. So this was fun. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything I talked about in this video. And for your question of the day, tell me something about your history with books and reading, and how those things have either stayed the same or changed with time. I think it's interesting to me looking back, because all of the books that I was really excited for were pretty much YA and middle grade titles, because I think that's most of what I was reading at the time. And that is really no longer the case. I'm reading a lot more adult fiction than I used to. I'm reading a lot more nonfiction. And part of that is I don't have super young children anymore. I'm getting more sleep, and I feel like my brain can like can handle more these days. Not to say that like YA is less, but it is easier to process, I guess, is a good way to put it, for the most part. Not always, but for the most part. But the thing that has definitely stayed the same is I have always really cared about representation in books, and so it is kind of cool to go back and see that my very first video I was talking about diversity in books and representation in books and why those things are important. So it's interesting seeing how some things have changed and other things have really stayed the same. Let me know in the comments down below what things have changed or stayed the same for you in your love of reading or books over time. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more, and if you want to support the work of the channel and are so inclined, feel free to join the Patreon or channel memberships. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.